Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of our regular Tuesday equity and option roundtable. We have some very exciting things to discuss tonight.
Wait for it. Here it comes. Almost there.
If you haven't been joining me for the morning streams, one of the things that we've been keeping track of is this whole situation in Iran. And we got a lot of backlash, whiplash as we moved back and forth on this issue over the course of this last weekend and over the course of the last few days, with at one point us claiming, us being the U.S., claiming that there was a ceasefire, and a response just a few minutes later that said that there are no talks, there are no negotiations, and they're not interested in it. So we've seen over the last 4 or 5 days the war go from being completely over to it doesn't look like it's going to end at all. And this uncertainty really kind of impacts the markets in a really big way. The last thing that traders, especially institutional traders and investors, want to see is uncertainty. Pardon me, we just had our little bear family out. You know what? We could keep them out for this because I'm going to show you how big of a deal this really is. We will go over to the daily chart. And if you would please note that today we failed to break over the top of this wick. We also failed in general to find any kind of support above our starting price. This is on NASDAQ. And we are still within the bounds of this big sell-off that we had. So things are not looking great. We are definitely right on the bottom of the channel that we've been stuck in. I mean, literally the bottom of this channel that we have been stuck in since October. And what you could tell from this is that institutions are super bagged, right? Like these guys were buying all up here for the last 5 months. And you could tell that they were buying here because the price wasn't dropping like a rock. Right? Retail is not holding up an index like this. There is just no possible way. So institutions are very bagged. What does that mean? These guys are stuck, okay? Because they need to sell off to reduce risk. But if they all sell off, or if one of them gets margin called in a really, really big way and is forced to liquidate a lot of their positions, then what you could see are the things that they have shorted running into the sky, and the things that they have longed crashing into the depths of hell. So we're at a really, really critical tipping point right now. And we have kind of been here for the last few days. So things are feeling very, very risky, right? The market has shifted almost into kind of a defense mode. And what you'll notice is that on most tickers, particularly like small caps, there is almost no liquidity to be found. It's a desert, okay? People are struggling to find a reason to be bullish. And I'm not sitting here saying that this event is for sure going to happen. But what I can say is that if we get down past this area that we literally bounced off of the other night, if we get down past this area at some point in the next few weeks, you might see a massive deleveraging, and you might even see a drop kind of like this. It's entirely possible. What this is also feeling like is almost kind of like the back half of 2021. So for anyone that traded during that time, what you'll remember, aside from meme mania taking up the first 6 months of the year, is that everything kind of just stagnated for a long time. I mean, I was holding Nvidia and Apple, and it felt flat forever until they suddenly skyrocketed in price. So when you see, you know, these kind of more large scale concerns, right? You see the markets retreat away from risk, and that's kind of at the level, you know, that's kind of the situation that we're in right now. So I just want you all to be cautious. I'm not telling you to be fearful. I'm telling you to be aware of what is happening. And a lot of it is due to the war in Iran. It is due to the market being overvalued in the first place and overhyped. And it is due to skyrocketing oil costs that are literally inflating every single product that you buy. Everything gets more expensive because oil is used to manufacture things. Oil is used to transport things, right? Oil is used to keep the lights on in the buildings where the things are sold, or the warehouses where the things are stored. So, this effect that oil has, right? Our economy here in the United States and really globally is it is 100% tied to oil. The petrodollar is still king in this world. So please just keep your eyes on it. Be very aware. Be cautious, and play accordingly. I also do, just real quick before we get into anything else, I do want to discuss BZAI. So this is a speculative trade that I took back in early February. And what I did is I took 50-cent calls, right? We kind of got it like right down here, 50-cent calls and $1 puts. And since then, we have had the opportunity to exit each of them and reload. Right? So what I had posted for all of our subscribers and for our warriors was that we are going to long volatility. We're going to expose ourselves to volatility intentionally. And we don't care so much whether the direction is up or down. The thing that we really cared about is that there would be direction. And today, we just got a really, really big change, right? We could kind of see the accumulation was happening. We were beginning to test this big liquidity level. If you guys don't know, that's what these lines always are on my charts, right? They're liquidity levels where we could expect price to react to. And we just blew past it completely, like it didn't even exist. So this thing went from trading at the beginning of the day down all the way at $1.07 to trading up at 163 with a peak of 175 in after hours. And if this price holds, those calls are going to almost 3x overnight. So that's just kind of an example of what being long volatility can really do. And if you find the right situation, like we did with Blaze AI, it could pay you quite a bit. So I guess first and foremost, this is my shameless plug. Go join the Warriors. Join our little premium program. I put out equity and option swings every night. I put out updates, and we do a live futures trading in the morning. And to be honest with you, you could even follow along. We had somebody this morning make $1,500 off of scalping QQQ puts for, I think, like maybe 10 minutes. So come join in the streams, come hang out with us, and join that. Make sure that you don't miss this shit, because I don't want you guys missing literal money printers. And that's what BZAI has been, the shitty little penny stock that suddenly 20x'd its revenue. And with that being said, I think that we do have a few little updates. Blanche and I had just released a video last night regarding Riley. So if you are here to discuss Riley, we've already done it. We have a video for you. It's very nicely done. This will also be recorded for you. And I would recommend that you go watch that after this. With that being said, I would like to turn the floor over to Blanche. And what did you want to talk about first? SLS?
I was looking at your chart there, and then I kind of went down a little rabbit hole. I was talking to you earlier in the private chat about, for those of you who don't know, I own a grocery distribution business. Federal milk order came through last week. I went through it today. Milk is bought by hundredweight, and that will include your skim price. That's basically how they measure like the full fat, and then you add water or you add sugar, but your base price is your hundredweight. And last month it was sitting at about $15.50 per hundredweight. For April, it is $18.66. So we are looking at what is that, 20% increase in your grocery costs coming up in April. So that is milk and dairy, but that tends to give us our first glimpse usually into everything that is coming right behind it. Milk is, milk and butter are in pretty much half the things that you buy. So when you're looking at these long-term trends, it's not all about the stock market. Do keep your eye open on other things.
Walmart would be a pretty good example of this. You could see that even despite the inflation that's been happening, and while everything else has been in a trend since, in a channel since the beginning of October, Walmart has just been steadily climbing, and that's because their margins are largely unaffected, because the things that people buy from Walmart are generally the things that they have to buy from Walmart, like groceries, right? We've even talked about the price of beef, and how people have been gravitating towards chicken recently, with Tyson Foods, right? And the reason that we've kind of seen this specifically with any kind of meat is because a lot of the people that worked in those warehouses unfortunately were deported, and a lot of the companies have been also having to lay people off. So there's a real worker shortage for dealing with these jobs in slaughterhouses. As it turns out, you have to actually pay Americans a lot to go and kill animals for 10 hours a day.
You know we've got to do it.
I know, Mama.
Just a really interesting situation that we find ourselves in, and it gives a little bit more insight, I think, along with what Blanche was saying regarding all of the dairy products, as to why you are seeing grocery cost inflate so much, and you are also seeing who is benefiting the most, and that is places like Walmart and CostCo can benefit the most from this. As their costs increase, they're just passing those costs on to the consumer, and their margins remain intact. You pay the difference.
I for sure am not making any money. I kept my prices stable, but
You're telling me you're telling me that you're not a big piece of shit like the Walton family? I'm just kidding. Walton. you know I love you, Waltons.
Let's go over to SLS. People were upset about the ATM. I'm going to try to paraphrase a couple people whose opinions on this I trust. This is a good thing, this ATM. This is basically putting them in a situation where they have enough money in the bank that they can't, and the current share price is at a strong enough point that they could conceivably, if they needed to, sell to market at a better return for us, actually, than if they had to approach Anson or Highbridge again for funds. It's not a bad thing. I mean, most companies that we know have an ATM of some sort in place. As to whether or not they're going to use it, that's questionable. Certain people will tell you that they're going to be bought out tomorrow. But I
think that they're going to use it, and I think the reason they're going to use it is because they're a pre-revenue bio company, and they've used it every other time, and you wouldn't register it if you didn't intend to use it, right?
Yeah.
So intuitively, I think they will. Go on.
Eventually. CING also has an ATM. Part of what was the vote. Same situation. We know they don't have money to commercialize. This at least gives them a little bit more leverage when dealing with trying to find a partnership. One of the problems with ADHD meds, and this is what you're going to see a lot of the bearish cases right now, there's been a lot of ADHD meds that have failed. They fail when they go to market, despite how good their trials are or the benefit that they show over placebo or against the generics. They fail when they go to market. It's a tough market, and the big players have bigger pockets. They have bigger sales forces. We're not talking, sales force of 20, 30, 40, 100, 200 to get something like this rolling to market. There's 4,000 sales reps for Pfizer. They need at least something. They need a little bit of capacity to generate revenue, to pay their partnerships, and to get their name out. I still believe there's going to be a regional rollout, but I don't know.
Regarding Sing. And while we are definitely disappointed that it's come back down, number one, I would like you to realize that we were talking about this thing at $3 and at $4. Bob was talking about it at $2. This big upward motion. This was likely a big boy running it up to exit out on people. Hopefully people weren't literally buying the top, right? And they were buying when we were telling them, hey, you should buy it down here in January. We want to make sure that you guys are keeping yourselves safe and that you're buying things at a good price. Well, once this ATM is done, I think that you're going to see a little bit of a move up. So this might not be a bad time to start scaling in very slowly if you haven't already. And I would just look to add on the dips. So you could always take a screenshot of this little chart. As you can see, these are actually the liquidity levels that we drew out last week here on stream. And I would just like to point out that on the daily chart, look how much we've been respecting these areas. Right? We find support where we expect support to be found. We have found resistance where we expect resistance to be found. Use these levels as a guide. There's a reason that I draw them out, and it is so you can responsibly position yourself at the right area for the right price.
To piggyback on that, we were talking about you hope that nobody was the people buying at the top. For these specific stocks that we really pound the table on, we don't expect you to get bagged even if you were buying at the top there. We have a long-term price target that is well above this. And if we see things getting like way out of hand, you're going to start seeing us start tagging everybody, get the fuck out like right away.
Like we did with Anna.
We're in that same holding pattern that we have been in. The daily price movement, it is swinging big. I don't think I've been too concerned about it.
No.
We weren't really expecting that big of movement. Bob saw today that we might be getting a PR coming up soon. There was a Dennis, do you remember, can you find the terms for that patent issue?
While he's finding the terms of that patent issue, I did just want to kind of address something that I've heard some people within the SLS community talking about, and something that we've talked about a bit on this Discord as well, is the fact that this could potentially be warrant related. There's no way for us to know until a filing is done saying these warrants were exercised. These proceeds have come into the company's wallet. But what I would say is that if this red day is getting you down and you are feeling frustrated because we were just at 6 and now we're at 5, I want to remind you that in December we were at $1.50, okay? And where we maxed out last time at about $5, after all of this sideways motion, all this chop and consolidation, and rising up to 6, we are back at 5. That was the high in January after that big squeeze. That was the high. So realize where we are and realize that this has been a long journey and it's by no means over. Like we've been saying it for a long time that there has to be some patience here. I know that, it's been a long wait and some people are ready for that to be over. But what I'm trying to tell you is that patience in the marketplace, regardless of if you're day trading or swing trading or long-term investing, patience in the marketplace is going to do wonders for you. I assure you. So just sit and wait, make sure that your risk is managed and that you're not over allocated. Because while we are all feeling very bullish on this, I think you do need to acknowledge that biotech stocks are risky in general. And, enjoy the ride, right? Just enjoy the ride. Let's see how the story pans out. We're right to an area where we saw nothing but buying pressure for the last, 3 months. So this seems to be a relatively stable floor for SLS.
For SLS. Yeah. So we were going to talk about something tonight. And so instead of that, we're just kind of recapping on the other things. We are kind of looking a lot at the private credit market. I spent I've spent about 30 hours this week kind of looking through filings and looking at different things. I'm not quite prepared to talk about it tonight just because the thesis is
It's a lot.
And it's basically going to affect the whole market. And so he has Al pulled up right now. Al is what we're going to call the canary in the coal mine. We will be talking. We're actually probably going to record this one because there's going to be a lot of information that goes along with it. But the general idea is people want their money back, and the market isn't in a place for these people to pay out their investors. So that is what was on the docket for us to talk about tonight. I would expect us I think we can get that done this week, probably record it and put up.
Yeah, probably sometime in the next few days. And again, the reason that we don't want to go over it live and that we want to record it is because we're going to have some data accompanying it, just kind of the same way that we did with the Riley video that we released last night. And to be honest with you, like, this topic is incredibly complex. It even kind of reminds me a little bit about a little bit of like a 2008 light. Think of it like Diet 2008.
Not quite the same indicators, but it is the same far-reaching aspects. You're going to see ripples of this throughout the market.
Yeah. And for what it's worth, also some of the insight that I got, I ended up meeting a manager of a hedge fund and becoming friends with them in October when I went out to that resort to go talk and listen about stocks. And he and I have stayed in contact. And when I mentioned private credit, specifically Blue Owl, to him, I was like, dude, have you been like watching this and seeing what's happening? And he just kind of flat out came and said, like, yeah, like this is the canary in the coal mine. Like, I think if we're going to see any kind of trouble, we're going to see it here first. And I was like, well, okay, like, thank you for reaffirming my thoughts and the thoughts of my buddy Blanche here. And let's talk a little bit more about it. So we're going to go over that in a video, probably at some point this week. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I think that two other things that I do just want to call out is, number one, Anna. So if you have been trading Anna with us, you have done incredible, right? So the original call for Anna was put out right about here during this day, right? Sub 3. And while, me, for instance, I ended up taking some profits here and I ended up taking the rest of the profits here. I really did not expect this big gap up that's happened. But if you are still holding it, phenomenal. Make sure that you de-risk and take your gains. This is very speculative, but these are the things that you can kind of access early with that Warrior subscription, right? Like, we aren't playing when I'm saying that these things are getting called out before they 3x 2x. This one doesn't have options, but you could have 3x'd on common shares alone, and if you really hit the peak, it would have been even more. There's a reason that this room is put together, and I want to make sure that you are all utilizing it in that way. Kind of continuing along with that energy theme, we have Chevron. So Chevron is something that we've been talking about on stream since January, and it's something that we have talked about during each of these equity roundtables that we've done for the last, what is this, number 3 now?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So when we were talking about it, it was sitting at like 186 for our first equity roundtable. This thing topped out at 209 this morning and is sitting at $206. Okay, so that's over a 10% gain on common shares alone if you just held this since our first equity roundtable. For options, if you were out till April, like what I was suggesting back here, you would have literally 10x'd. That's how big this move was. So just pay attention. Oil, energy in general, that is a big push that's happening right now. And it's out of necessity because a lot of the oil and a lot of the energy generation, right, has been very, very limited with Iran basically land mining and blockading the Strait of Hormuz. Now, I do want to take a moment to touch on another energy play that I've really been looking at, that I actually took my starter position in yesterday and added a little bit to it today. And that is IMSR, Terrestrial Energy. So this is a small company, right? 520 million market cap. Trades pretty thinly, usually less than 1 million shares a day. We've seen a little bit of an uptick in volume lately over the last 3 days. So this thing appears to be bottomed out, right? We could see a little nice triple bottom. We bounced off of the bottom of this demand zone pretty nicely. So, I'm feeling pretty positive about this one. This company is a nuclear company, and not something stupid like trying to make fucking fusion commercially viable, right? This is molten salt. So what they are doing is they are superheating salt until it's a liquid, and they are using that heat to split salt molecules, to split salt atoms, and to ultimately create a very, very efficient energy source. It's pretty safe. So I ended up talking to a buddy that I have from years ago, playing video games. We keep in touch, and he is a grant funded researcher of nuclear reactor shells. Specifically, what he's working on are shells that are basically self-reinforcing, where the atoms bond together as the nuclear reaction happens inside of them. And he has a PhD in applied physics and mathematics. So this guy is incredibly bright. I'm not even on the same level as him, not remotely. So I reached out to him and asked him about it. And he's Canadian. So, he basically said that in Canada, there's a lot of red tape around this. And he said that the tech is very new, but it's very promising. It's energy efficient. It isn't nearly as bad for the environment as traditional nuclear reactors. And that it's also really cheap, because all you need is salt, not some highly specific radioactive isotope. So, the tech is very interesting. This firm is based in North Carolina, I believe, and there isn't a lot of red tape in the US as compared to other places. These guys are actually ahead of anything that the nuclear darlings like Oklo are doing. These guys are ahead of the curve there. So I'm just saying, I've made a great deal shorting Oklo lately. That thing's a piece of garbage, and this is one that I'm actually long. This is the first nuclear play that I've been involved in on the long side in I don't even know how long. So I'm pretty excited about this one. I'm just scaling in very, very slow with common shares. So please make sure that you're keeping your safe. Just keep yourself safe. But I think that this is a really promising little company.
I didn't know you were going to talk about this one. Actually, I'm familiar with it.
Are you familiar with this? Let's go. Yeah. Let's fucking go.
This is a technology actually that I first became aware with. Bob brought this up back in December or something, when I think that might be where it's low on your chart there towards the end of December. So we'll have to go back and look through.
Look through one of those chats.
Yeah, because I'm sure that he brought this up back then. That's when I first looked at it. It is a really promising idea, because it is if their engine works, it will be very easy for them to monetize this. There is the red tape aspect of it. There is still, it's kind of an all in. And so I do agree with your, scale in, kind of start keeping an eye on it. It's good to have shares and stuff like this. That way you're paying attention when the news hits, because if this goes, this is going to go.
If this goes, it's going to go gangbusters.
I would say it's going to go nuclear.
Oh, don't drop the bomb on them.
All right.
But yeah, so IMSR, something to keep your eyes on. And yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to I'm
going to reiterate PYPD. They said end of Q1. We are here. We are expecting that FDA submission lasagna
next week.
Yeah, we're expecting it the next week. As to whether or not it does anything, if it means anything, don't know. But if you are on the fence about whether or not you're going to, get in or get in later, I would probably start building a little bit of a position now. I ran models last week, probably about 30 or 40 biotechs, where I just kind of keep constantly updating what I think TAM is, and if I think that now is the time to invest in them and whatnot, how far away their different trials are. And then I ran them all through a couple of different AI engines. And the one that it kept saying is like the one that you have that you're interested in that has the most gains coming is PYPD. And SLS was in there, Sing was in there, and I had kind of never really thought that. I thought that this was going to be a strong gainer. I thought this was going to be a 10x from here. Reached out to a couple people after that, and it is very much like when this starts going, this is going to hit that 10, that 15 this year. If as long as that submission goes, it's going to be a lot quicker than we thought it was going to be. So FDA submission probably this week, next week at the latest, I imagine. Partnership, I really expected partnership by now. I thought that they would have it before they had their submission, because when you have a partnership, that really kind of like the partner pays for part of it, and usually pays for all of it. And having a good commercial partner also helps you write out your NDA better. The companies that would be partnering, they write hundreds of NDAs in the lifetime of their business. They have people, dedicated departments. It's not like you're just writing your first one, like a lot of these small micro cap bios that we get into do. So having these people, and I bet I know he's going to say SNDAs on top of that, hundreds, thousands. So I am kind of expecting something on that pretty soon. And I do feel like out of all the plays that we've had, this one has not moved yet. And I think it's probably the most due. It's due for that move from 4 to about 8.
Yeah, it's been boring, man, to be honest with you, and that's totally okay, right? I'm okay with that. I have my little position that's been sitting. I'm very slightly green on it, but it's boring, man. It's like watching paint dry. It's like watching grass grow or flies fuck. I mean, it's incredibly boring. But during these times where it is very boring, those are usually the times where massive accumulation is occurring.
I mean, that's how, for a year, I didn't talk about this openly that much because I thought, like I don't want to drive the volume. But I mean, we've been able to keep it. I think a lot of people are in with 10K plus shares. And I think it's kind of wild. I'm actually really excited for this group on that. I hope to God I'm right. This one's my baby now. Yes. The Sing patent situation. So what we saw last week was we knew that the patent had been approved, and then there was a request to stay the approval. They wanted to keep the patent open for a moment and submit some additional data. I don't know if that data we don't know yet. We do have a call coming with Shane, the CEO, in the near future, I believe. We don't know for certain what that addendum was. It might have actually just been that from when they filed to today, the EU patent went through, and there might be some supplemental information that they just wanted thrown into with the patent information. It kind of scared us a little bit. We saw a little bit of a drop the next day. We don't know if that was because of this, but we have also it only took 24 hours and that situation was resolved. It looks like the supplemental information was taken and the patent is still a go. So for those of you who had heard little bits and pieces, the people who are monitoring this, you got to give it to them. They are sitting there updating their, refreshing their patent screen a couple times a day, which is incredible. Thank you guys.
Yeah, and not only that, but I do also want to just quickly point out that while there is a call with the CEO of Seeing Shane being scheduled, I think that it's something that is going to be done in like a really, really private, small group setting. And I realistically, I do not know how much he's going to actually be able to tell us, right? Because of any kind of existing NDAs, maybe giving away like any kind of strategic advantage. There's a lot of reasons that someone may be unable or unwilling to share further information, especially if it's non-public, right? If it's any kind of non-public information, then it's going to have to be submitted to the SEC first and foremost, or else he's giving out insider trading tips. So
Yeah.
just temper expectations. Don't expect us to come back and be like, oh, hey, his social security number's fucking 69,412, right? We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that because we can't.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that because we can't.
One of the reasons, we do get a bunch of these calls, and we do have a bunch of CEOs who are willing and actually kind of wanting to have these calls with us in the near future. Part of the reason that they do want to do these calls is because, they understand that we know the rules and we aren't pressuring them. We're not like nudging them. We're just giving them that opportunity to offer what little bits of clarity they are able to offer. People put out these PRs and then they notice that, some people think that there's a little bit of nuance that could have been given. So that's all we ever get from it. Yeah, Father's right. Don't expect that we will have the insider track.
Yeah, we're not going to have the insider track. So, we've been at this for about 40 minutes. We did want to keep this one a little bit condensed because, especially on that first one, we talked your guys' ear off for like fucking an hour and a half, which was absurd. Before we take off today, just to reiterate a few things. Number one, you'll be able to find all of this on YouTube. I will be sharing it here, so keep your eyes peeled. Really do appreciate any kind of support there, likes, comments, follows, anything like that. It could help us kind of reach a larger audience. So, if that's something that you'd like to help with, appreciate you. If you want to keep updated on all of these moves, again, this is what this Discord is for. This premium service is all inclusive between equities, futures, and options. You could see that Blanche is actually a member of it. I'm sure that he would give a nice glowing recommendation, considering that we share charts and talk very in depth about these swings nightly. And in addition to that, yes, I do talk a lot slower in the morning stream. Shut up, Dennis. And finally, I did just want to say, if you haven't seen the Riley video, go watch the Riley video.
Yeah,
and keep your eyes peeled for the private credit video that we're going to be recording over the next week.
That's kind of the big one, and
big one.
I would actually encourage anybody, as you are over the next couple days, if you are seeing articles about private credit, things that you think that we might miss, please DM those to us. It always helps that we work as a community, and if you see tickers that you're seeing a little bit of right now pretty much all the private credit,
I was about to say they're all fucking just melting down, dude.
They're all below support. But always, we're a community. Send us the links, send us your thoughts. It helps us, it helps us help the other people that are in here. So
absolutely. All right, well, with that being said, everyone, I thank you so much for attending our third round table. Hopefully you come to the next one. Tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your grandma, tell your granddad. Okay, your granddad doesn't have shit else to do. He might as well be sitting here listening to us talk about stocks. So come hang out. We'll talk some shit. Get some nice information out there, and really looking forward to continuing to do this regularly. Right, really appreciate all of you. If that's it for you, Blanche, I think that I'm good here. And again, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for being a friend.
Thanks for being a friend.
Stop it. Get some help.